2009. Alright, well, let's just go with it. The Great and Lovely Descent. Oh, okay. Looks like some nice houses.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
The streetwise fool.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Oh.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
What? Wee. 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 I'm totally gonna fall at some point, I know it. Wee. Uh-oh, almost. Success. I literally have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just going with it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, there's more stairs. Okay. Why am I going down the stairs? Oh, because I have to. I'm made to go down the stairs. Oh, yeah, you can see the... like... Oh, what a scumbag! Meant to be like a glass wall. Sander with the 3 months in a row. Oh my god, it's 3 months old. It's time for your bronze Snoopy. Thank you so much for the 3 months, Sanders, and Donald Truck earlier for the tier 3 subscription. Thank you so much, man. Are you putting Let's Plays on random bits anymore? Absolutely. This will go on rope on random bits. Oh.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Wow.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Reasonable. F620 with the $1. This isn't GTA. I feel cheated on. Thank you for the donation, whoever that was. Thing is, in Stanley Parable, he puts a section in that is like it takes hours to get through. There's one of them that like it takes 3 or 4 hours or something to do one of the endings. I can't remember which one it is, but is it with the baby? And then it switches it up like halfway through to make sure that you're not cheating.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Yay!
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Coder creates hundreds of troll games, sends it to his friends. Ultimate scumbag. This is far more genius than GTA. I mean, that's true. Listen, listen, listen.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Okay. Let's go for 3. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? But I can't tell them the answer. This is the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. Nice telltale choices. Yeah, telltale choices where you can't actually influence anything. Oh, more people. We actually find the black space between the doors to be far more interesting. Have you seen it yet? It may take time before you understand, which is fine. You'll see it again soon. This is crazy.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Okay.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Okay. Interesting. Intriguing. Can we have the ability to remove lampposts yet, please? Coda would have given us the ability to remove lampposts. You can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. This game's connected by the internet is what it originally said. Nice room, not. How do I leave a note?
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played.
Point to this.
This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up.
All these notes.
I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Yeah, we're not reading them all.
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Aw, recognize me, please. Door, how open? Open sesame. Makes game includes door, cannot open door, thanks. Oh well. New room. With only result in misery. Okay, let's go. Oh, there's so many. I mean, look at that. Are we gonna go through there? I guess we're gonna go through there. But there's so... Like, look at all those. I'm guessing you could access those if you just jumped off and... I bet there's an achievement in this game for reading every single note. He's a scumbag! He's an absolute scumbag! Whoever made this has issues. He wrote it himself. Do you know what I've seen all the way through? 3 dots. Like, just in different places. Sometimes there's been like 3 dots in a triangular form or whatever, but there's been 3 dots like all the way through. And that's many dots, that's more than 3. This game has no achievements. Alright, okay. Hooplehead with the 36 months in a row, the worst of the G's. Thank you, Hooplehead. Well, I'm here now. Yeah, we're all here now. There must be a reason for it, though. His terrible secret, he kept it well. I beat the game. Well, we're not there yet. Thank you, Hoople. Enjoy your run.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Interesting. Have a good time in Tokyo, Hoople. Very jealous.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Interesting.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
I choked it. I choked an unchokable game. Wait. Oh, I almost couldn't move. There it is, the choke. What on earth? How do you leave notes? That was my first question. Oh, there's the lamppost again and all these typewriters. What? Hello? Was that? Wow. That felt heavy, that game, like that. Pawn Stars died
this one is
too.
tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. Are we stuck here? Oh, okay. Guess not. Same picture. I like the design of that wall. All those circles.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
What furniture ought to go in the center of the room? Put a giant hole in the ground. I mean, I'm gonna go for 3. That's not a giant hole. Let's go for 2. Tesla coils. Yes. Oh. And a table. You need a table. I've got a table. I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any difference. Yes. The correct sequence is always 1, 3, 2, 2. You know this. What?
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
It's very weird.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Please walk forward. Hello. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully, take care that you remember each step. Firstly, click on this table. Go to the photo frame and turn it slightly. There's those 3 dots again. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off and then turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa and move it over a little. Finally touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start and be taken back to your prison. Okay. Oh, we need to remember all of that. Return. This glitch also gives you God mode in GTA. Alright.
Of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
Of course.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside.
Ah.
Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Well, how does this count as the last version of the prison game if the prison wasn't in it? There's that lamppost again. Oh, I can't move. Hello? It's me, I'm you from after you escaped the prison. What?
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
True. This is interesting. No!
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?